Hello there, folks. Well, I've been able to really improve my abs this year, and I've tremendously improved them since I decided to become a bodybuilder back in 2011. This had to do with changes in my approach to dieting and training. Here are my abs about 3 weeks into bodybuilding training back in 2011, though I did have many years of lifting and athletic training before this. And here are my abs now. I've made progress in my ab development in the last 5 months that really surprised me. My recent experience in improving my abs really supported the old saying, abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. I started weighing virtually all my food again. By the way, I hadn't been doing that in ages. And I started to take the guesswork out of dieting by precisely tracking my calories and macronutrients. I spent more time working on food-related things than I spent in the gym. I certainly wasn't doing that for the better part of the last several years. I also started eating a lot more low-calorie vegetables like lettuce, broccoli, cauliflower, and things of that nature. I've found that low-calorie veggies are tremendous foods on a diet, as they allow you to eat massive amounts of food while getting low amounts of calories. This leaves less room left over in your stomach for more calorie-dense foods that can potentially make losing fat harder via more calories consumed. I eventually settled into a dietary pattern that seemed to work great for me for cutting fat while remaining healthy and full of energy. My general approach was to lower the fat and carb intake as low as I comfortably could go, while avoiding the dreaded lethargy and food cravings associated with many diets, while still getting high levels of protein, and I was very successful in these regards. I ate in a manner that almost all would agree is very clean, and I hardly ever ate out during this time. I also ate a varied diet with a lot more food selections than many people on a diet tend to go for. I avoided the highly restrictive diets where people eat maybe less than 10 different foods that many go for, and most can't seem to stick with longer than a very short time frame. Over the last 7 weeks of the diet, per day, I averaged roughly 200 grams of carbs, 175 grams of protein, 50 grams of fat, and 1,950 calories. I also averaged close to 6 meals per day. Now, these numbers weren't set in stone. I cycled through both higher and lower periods, but that was about the average overall. Now, on to what I did in training. Before I had really improved my abs this year, I was training with weights about 5 to 6 days per week and doing many different movements, and I was hardly doing any cardio. I then had a shoulder injury gradually get to the point that I had to radically change what I was doing or suffer certain long-term damage and chronic pain. I decided to take time off from the hardcore weight training and decided to rehab the shoulder. Not counting the body weight shoulder exercises I did in rehab, I did strength training for only about 1 day per week on average for the better part of the last 5 months, and I did virtually 0 sets in that time for my upper body directly. Virtually the only strength training I did in that time was squat variants for between about 10 to 200 reps per set, and I did a fair amount of that work with just body weight and very light weights. And as far as direct abdominal training goes, I've done basically none of that for over a year. I did do cardio in the form of riding my bike for about the last 10 weeks or so. I find cardio can cut body fat, though to less of a degree than many seem to think. I cycle anywhere from just about once per week to about 5 times per week for about as little as 20 minutes a ride, all the way up to about 2 hours. I used low, moderate, and high-intensity riding as well, but I'd mostly do low to moderate intensity cardio with the cycling. I also took a walk at slow to moderate speed for about 20 to 40 minutes for about 5 to 7 days per week for the better part of the last 5 months. For those who wondered, I'm lifetime anabolic drug-free. Because of that, and also because I'm naturally a very light guy, I had to be willing to go further down in weight than most guys seem willing to go to in order to get to this level of definition. On these clips, I'm weighing in at about 140 pounds, or about 63 kilos, while standing 5 foot 8 inches tall, or 173 centimeters. In the 23 weeks before this video, I'd lost 35 pounds, or about 16 kilos. And while I did lose a fair amount of size and lost some muscle, it was well worth it, as my definition and aesthetics reached new heights. My proportions also improved, as my thigh measurement became larger than my upper waist measurement towards the end of the 23-week period. With the exception of some quite skinny or very young folks, many of you watching this would probably improve your overall look and definition too if you managed to drop about 35 pounds like I did. I know a lot of guys have a mental block against seeing things like scale weight going down and arm measurements going down, but it's a great way of improving the physique. There's a reason why about 100% of all high-level competitive bodybuilders, both natural and chemically enhanced, tend to be at their lightest weights of the year at and around the time of the competitions, which is also when they look their best. That's about all I have to say on this issue for the moment, and perhaps I will see you folks later.